investiture this afternoon need to meet at 1 o'clock in the chapel for a walkthrough of the service, so that we know what we are doing. It does help, you know. So rehearsal for that service is at 1 o'clock. I also want to let you know that we are going to be swapping two services in the order of things, and it may be a little confusing at first, but I'm gonna try and tell you as clearly as I can right now. This evening at 7:30, we will have evening prayer with the memorial rite, and the festive vespers on the eve of St. Luke is going to be tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. So content, worship times are going to be the same, the content will change.
Well, they're not the same, but they're the same.
The content won't change, the times are different. I'll get it right eventually.
You're doing
The
great.
memorial is tonight.
Memorial is tonight, festive vespers tomorrow.
Okay.
Got it?
4:30 for tomorrow, George. 4:30 for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
4:30 for tomorrow, yes, okay?
I know.
16,000 things come through my brain at any one time.
Only some of it should you say.
And only some of them I should say out loud. So, this is the abbot's work. So I'm going to turn to her to begin our chapter.
Would you pray with me? Most gracious God, as we gather to be about the business of the order, help us remember that the business of the order is to praise you, to learn, to occasionally unlearn, but to be together as an assembly. Guide us and guide us. Amen. I'm first in the book of reports. And I'm not going to read you my report because whatever you eventually find is you can read my report to yourself. So there are just two things I want to do. My first is some thank yous, and I will apologize at the beginning because the list, if I thanked everybody here who needed to be thanked, would take up all the time of this meeting. So if I don't mention you by name, you've been thanked anyhow. But as I reflected on the state of the order for the last 12 months, things that jumped to my mind that I want to mention are the fact that you have responded to Sister Kimberly for services online by your chapter or by a group of friends in various ways that you have done that. And just in case you haven't noticed, on the other side of the blackboard is your opportunity to volunteer for some time in the next year to do the services. This is the time we get together once a year, and 50 or 60 of us can make it. There's many people beyond this, and there are people in other countries. And so we take advantage of the online ability to gather. And please help Sister Kimberly get people to do that. She did not sign up to run 12 online services. She signed up to help coordinate them. But thank you, Sister Kimberly, and thank all of you who did the service in this past year. I've got to thank Brother Scott because the work he has done to help get the membership list updated, to be sure that we're current, and to take over that responsibility At the same time, he is willing to take over being an officer. Brother Scott, you are deeply appreciated.
Amen.
And I need to thank Brother Daniel. And now I need to find Brother Daniel. Where are you? There you are. Oh, you're hiding back. He and Brother Jim, who's in here somewhere, also in the back, have done wonderful work for the order in terms of, I will use the formal Catholic term instead of whatever I should be saying, the novitiate process. Those of you who have come in this past year. That work has been phenomenal. I think I need to recognize Sister Barbara too. I think she's doing a lot to help. Thank you for that work. I believe that it strengthens the order to have the chance to do some gathering together as cohorts before you become members, to learn who we are and who we have been and who we pray we will be. So thank you for everybody who is involved in that process. And for, slip down so I find my, the order has canons. Now, canon, not
How many M's are in the
we have single end canons. I don't think we have a variety of double end canons.
Just cannonball.
Canons are people who have served the order, who carry our institutional memory, but who do not hold us to the past, but encourage us into a future. And at this point in time, our canons are Brother French Ball, Sister Barbara Lee, Brother Michael O'Donnell, Brother Mark Stom, Brother Brent Sturm, Brother Matthias Tanner, and Brother Dwight Vogel. Put your arms up in the air and wave so everybody knows who you are. Thank you. The Constitution says that you serve for 4 years. Ignore the Constitution.
As we do.
I am here to officially say that you are named canons for another 4 years. I didn't check that with Sister Heavens, but I don't think she wants to evict any of you. And to say that our newest canon is Brother Daniel. And to thank him for all he has done and for all he has written. I've heard this said by others, I think it was Sister Linda, that when you're using the prayer book, there are prayers that you start and you think, oh, if I look at the bottom of this, it's going to say Brother Daniel.
Yeah.
Because the language is so beautiful and the content is so moving. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I get ready to say goodbye to you, because in 5.5 hours, you're going to have a new abbot. And I have loved being your abbot, and I love the fact that Sister Heather is about to be.
I want to continue that litany of thanks to say to my fellow officers, it's been a privilege to serve with you as among the elected leaders of this order. And I thank all of you for giving me the privilege to serve as your prior general for the last 8 years. The truth is, I've served as an officer of the Order of St. Luke since the year 2000. That's 24 years. And it's time for me to retire. The prior general has the responsibility also of administering the Hoyt L. Hickman Awards, which is an award given to graduating students from various seminaries who have shown exceptional ability in liturgical scholarship or exceptional ability in leading worship. And they are gifted with a chalice and paten set that is made by E. Preston Rice. And that process continues as it has for several years. There is one recipient of the Hoyt L. Hickman Award in attendance at this retreat, and that's Sister Diane McCleary. I do need to announce that the spring council meeting of the leaders of the order will be held here at St. Paul of the Cross, May 12th through 15th. So those dates need to be in your calendar. But the retreat is not going to be held here next year. The retreat will be at the Mercy Conference and Retreat Center in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's going to be October 20th through 23. And I have their address. It's in my report. So if you want to look there for their address or their website, you can find that and see what that retreat center looks like. And I will leave it to your incoming officers to announce the speaker and the topic of the retreat.
Is that the place again, please?
Mercy Conference and Retreat Center, St. Louis, Mo.
I would gladly receive names and ideas.
It was recommended by members from the Illinois Great Rivers chapter.
Okay, that helps.
And in price, it's very comparable to this place.
And Sister Celia, who is going to be your new prior general,
George.
would welcome any suggestions for speakers. So you may speak with her as she,
Or at me.
or at her, yes. Anyway, that's my report. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you, Brother George, for all that you do and have done.
One of the things we do at the spring council is to recommend a budget. We approved it, it's on page 5 and 6. Actually, it should be 6 and 5. We do our income before we do our expenses. So if you will turn to that in the book of reports, that will be helpful. We need your final approval of this budget for next term 24, which begins now, and to 25. The total budget is, our proposed income is 26.5. Our proposed expenses are going to change drastically since Brother Scott has built a database for us. We will have no longer need for the monthly fee to servant keeper, so I will be discontinuing that. And some other expenses will come out that are passed on to all of you. So the expenses that are anticipated are $52,850. It is not a balanced budget per se, simply because our income levels were down last year, so I couldn't anticipate more income than we had actually received. We had hoped that all of you would begin using the website to reaffirm your vows and to make your donations, to simply save on postage. That didn't work out too well last year, so our giving was way down. But this year, Brother Scott has devised a new way of emailing and to snail mail So if you can please use the website, that would be extremely helpful in keeping our expenses down. Because he has to use envelopes, he has to pay casual labor to stuff the envelopes, he has to buy the stamps to stamp the envelopes. So it gets to be quite expensive. So please think about that. So the budget is before you. I'll take a motion to pass it and receive it formally.
So move.
So
Second.
a second, Barbara, okay, so Brent and Barbara. And may we have a show of hands as to who's happy about the budget, not that you're happy about it. Okay, thank you. I also need to make sure we have some specific language in our minutes so that Brother Scott can take over the administrative portion of the order. He will be opening a new bank account in the state of Texas. So I have filed the necessary form with the Secretary of State to allow us as a New Jersey corporation to do business in the state of Texas. Once he gets that stamped file and has our completed minutes, he can go to any bank in Texas and open an account and obtain a credit card for Brother Dean's work with Amazon. Currently, we use an American Express that's under my social security number, so I appreciate getting that closed out, and Brother Dean will use the bank card. We've had several times where we've needed a bank card, a credit card, like to rent an organ when we were in Arizona, and to make some down payments on things, but right now, the only use of a credit card is for publications and to pay for the printing of doxology. Because what I had in place with the FedEx office in South Bend, Indiana, which is where Brother Jonathan teaches at Notre Dame, they would call me. We've got all the printing done, we're ready to mail. Great, how much is the bill? Here's the number, done. And it's nice and easy. They don't have to wait for a check in the mail, and I immediately get a receipt in the email. So those are the only two things that we're using the credit card right now. What I need to do is affirm the election of our new officers. So if I could have a motion to affirm the election formally.
I'll move that as teller of the election.
And Sister Debbie seconded. All in favor of the election of new officers? I hope you're all in favor of that. Otherwise, I
All except the Chancellor General, we want to retain the one we have.
only told me when all this is done. Okay, so that takes care of that, and that we are going, yes,
So,
question.
Just curious from the old guy, why do we need to have a vote to affirm the vote?
Because banks will not let us open a nonprofit bank account unless we have the specific minutes from the meeting approving the election of new officers. Oh yeah, they want to see everything. And so when I came on board, I kind of made up some language to edit the minutes so that we would have it, because we didn't do that
No, I never remember.
in 2016. But
Yeah.
today, banks are very funny about
Okay,
money.
we never did that, I don't think.
No, you don't
I
have
don't think
to.
it ever
And-
happened before.
And Brother Scott's Bank requires that we have a corporate thing that says we're allowed to do business in the state of Texas. That may help too, Brother Mark. The bank also requires that we have a filing that we are allowed to do business in the state of Texas.
Okay.
I'm trying to cross the Ts and dot the
Yeah,
Is.
no, I get it.
Add to that motion that we authorize him to open a bank account.
Absolutely, yes, we will do that. All in favor of that is
Yeah.
aye. Very good. You're on deck, Brother Scott. As soon as that thing comes from the Secretary of State of Texas, amen. I thank you for your trust in me as your Chancellor General. These past few months have been rather hectic as I have dealt with my husband's illness and my own illness. So I thank the Lord that Brother Scott was able to step up and handle a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to handle over the summer. And I know he will do a fantastic job because he's the right person for such a time as this. Amen. So thank you, thank you.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
I got my report in, you can read it in the book of reports. Lots of thanks there that I won't repeat now, but I'm profoundly grateful for everyone who's accepted the call to service to serve as prior or leader of an association in the Order of St. Luke. I each and May and October include a little chart with some information from those priors, and I encourage you to look over those and to pray for our priors and for our chapters. They do important work in keeping us together when we are apart, and that work is vital, as our speaker at this retreat is telling us. We need to assemble from time to time. Even when we can't assemble in the big group, assembling in the small groups is terribly important. All that to say, do everything that you can to support Brother Brett, who is stepping into this role this afternoon, including if there are people around you forming a chapter. It does not take a lot. I think you covenant to meet twice a year, so the bar is pretty low. And we all need people around us to support us, so you can do it out of purely selfish motives. Yeah, Southern Texas, I know where there are people. Right, you never know when there's a chapter president who you're going to reach and who gets invited in. We have our history as a Methodist order, as a group of clergy, largely male. We know that we've expanded beyond that history to a large extent, but we need to keep reminding others that we have the open doors that Gordon Laker talked about. So we need open doors for our chapters as well. It has been an honor to work together with the provincial companions and the priors and leaders of our associations, and I'm grateful for all of them. And I trust that you will continue to uphold them in their work and Brother Brett in his as we move forward. Thank you all. Yeah, so I got that after your report. The CalPAC chapter is reconfiguring a little bit.
Yes.
But I don't know what people really need to, like, I'm not sure that the body needs to vote on whether there's a subchapter or not. There's a change of name, yes?
Yeah, that's Brother Dwight may want to speak to that a little bit,
Right.
since he helped organize the change.
We're just asking that you affirm the configuration, the membership overlap, demographic. And we want it to be known as the All Saints chapter, referring not only to the glorious company of the saints in life, but also some of the saints in our own chapter who are part of that glorious company, who's listed in the report. We just ask for the affirmation of the general chapter.
Right, so in my report, I referred to the CalPAC chapter, the chapter in California Pacific that has had the Claremont subchapter for many, many, many years. That chapter is reconfiguring, which I learned about after I received the report from the CalPAC chapter that I included in my report. But they're looking to be known as the All Saints chapter, and the Claremont subchapter and the chapter are folding together into one more cohesive body, if I understand that correctly. So they are looking for our affirmation. I don't know if we need to vote on that. I'm really not a Robert's Rules person.
Yay.
Do we have? Hooray for All Saints. Yeah, should we sing the Ray Vaughan Williams tune, just, Exactly. I think with that, I am now actually done.
Thank you, Sister Heather.
The next two reports in your book of reports are from doxology from Brother Jonathan Payne, who is not here yet, and from the font, because there's no editor. I am gifting that problem to Sister Heather. She gets several gifts from me. And there is no report from the companion for life vowed members. If you're a life vowed member and you're interested in what that involves, see Sister Heather. That's my second gift.
He was very gifted.
And there is no report from OSL Publications because that was mine. And I will apologize for not having a report ready, but I too have had some serious health issues within the family and have not been able to do that. I will pull together a report after this. I am very thankful to Brother Dean, who handles our sales of books and of bottles and beads, and has done that with grace and conviction for the last several years. So thank you, Brother Dean. We continue to sell. We continue to have things on print on demand, so we no longer have to make sure that Brother Dean gets moved to a parsonage that has a giant storeroom as part of it. And I think not only is Brother Dean grateful, I believe his wife is. I will ask you, Dean, it seems to me that the book sales level is staying fairly constant, much down from what it was a few years ago, but we continue to sell, and because we sell through print on demand, it's a very easy process for us. We don't, as I said, we don't need an inventory stock.
I think, if I remember my, I think we had 37 orders this year.
Okay. So, thank you. And the chaplain general.
Oh, that's
Okay. Oh, we have many people with multiple hats on today.
I want to tell you that Brother Lewis Worthington and I continue to promise that we will have lunch and that we will exchange the holy hardware that he has in his possession. He lives 2 hours from me, and I believe that one day we might see each other in flesh. Not in a weird way, but in a normal way.
I hadn't thought of that until you said
Me and Joe,
Until she said it. I know. It's like,
we will see each other in person. How's that?
And 2 hours is Texan for next door.
It's really next door, like, right, y'all, if you're not familiar with Texas geography, I used to live south of the King Ranch, and all of the legends of the King Ranch are entirely true. And it is 9 hours long. You cannot get through it, and I'm still there driving through it from Brownsville. But now that I live in Victoria, I'm 2 hours from everywhere. I also really, I've said this enough, and I'm sure he's tired of me saying it, but I am eternally grateful to Brother Derek for his work on our worship book. Not only is it the most beautiful thing I've seen in a very long time, but a tremendous gift to me and my sanity and my love for you that he took this project on this year. I thank you very much. And that's all I have to say.
So where's Brother Lewis? I mean,
He is in Austin.
okay, that's,
He is attending first.
wouldn't help you to come see us then.
And he misses you. I will say that.
Here's the next on the agenda. The report of the web scribe and tech sibling.
We have 2 chaplain generals.
I'm sorry.
You will please excuse my lack of report and the continuous coughing in the back. I am not sick. It's just this darn long COVID, which I have had for a year and a half and cough 300 or 400 times a day and just can't get rid of it. I had to take vocal rest for an entire month earlier this year. That was super fun, having, a church and not being able to talk. My name is Kimberly Grube, and I'm also your chaplain general, working with the online portion of the worship that we do. First, I want to let you know that I want to give you sort of the outline of how it works. We come up with one day for the month of when we're going to gather. The people who are putting together that liturgy decide the content of that. We do, however, have a vast number of resources, both in Wado, our online, essentially, book of offices and services, and in our bronze book, which has a lot of the feasts. And some of them you'll see noted, the ones that I've listed on the whiteboard, a lot of those are in our bronze book or perhaps in our red book. So you, as the chapter or the individual or the small group that chooses to lead a liturgy, gets to choose. I give you some suggestions, and most of those are found in our resources already, so you can just tailor it as you like. You let me know that you'd like to do that month. You pick the date and the time, and we will get you a Zoom link or a something link if you don't already have it. Have a way to make that happen. But if you do, you can use the one you already like. And this year, it's been really nice to have the online worship. We've had a little bit of difficulty getting that information out to all of you, but I anticipate that we'll be much better at that this year. I would love to see us fill in the blanks. I see 3 of them are already signed up, which is great. You can lead as an individual, a small group, or a chapter. What I would love is to have 1 or 2 people, in addition to Eleanor, who also already helps me, to walk alongside me and to split up some of these responsibilities. If there's anybody who feels called to do something sort of maybe for a quarter of the year, 3 online liturgies that is just making sure that the chapter leading has all the information. I've already got some forms of this is what you should expect. This is kind of the charism of what these feel like. Allow some time for sharing and gathering. Don't just start liturgy on 7:01 because people need time to figure out the links and that kind of thing. So if you would like to be a helper with the online liturgy ministry, I would love to hear from you. Secondly, we have a new WhatsApp community. Now, if that means nothing to you, then that is okay. WhatsApp is a texting, photo sharing, voice calling, and video calling app that is entirely free and also available internationally. So folks who travel a lot or folks who are in different countries will often use that. But if you look on the website, under what menu did you put that under? Do you remember?
Get involved.
Get involved. If you go to our website, which I will put on the board in a moment, again, go to Get Involved and go to WhatsApp Community. If you join, if you download the free app and join, then you can join whichever chapter you're in, and then your whole chapter can be there and say things like, hey, I'm running behind, but I'll be there. Or we're going to need to delay by half an hour today, so just everybody be aware. And then what I can also do is put something in the announcement that goes out to the whole order at once. So this is going to be another way for you to hear information about the online liturgies. So I do encourage you to sign up, even if this is the only thing you use that for. So I can say to you, here's the link, here's the thing, here's the time, and then 10 minutes or so before I can resend you the link and say, we're gathering in 10 minutes, it's time to log on, and just send you the link. If your chapter usually meets in person, but would like to do a planning phone call or a planning video call, in WhatsApp, you can just hit the phone button and it will phone call everybody who's in the list in your chapter. You can join more than one chapter. It mimics real life. So some of us are parts of 2 or 3 or some even 4 chapters. And so you can be a member of as many as you like. You can also, if that sounds intimidating, talk to me during this retreat and I will help you join. Finally, the note up in the picture on the whiteboard. If you left a pillow here at the council in May, I have it. And I is with me here at the retreat, and it was left by somebody who was here at council, and I brought it back to see if we can connect it with its owner. right, thank you.
How nice of you it is.
So I don't call myself the tech bro because I want somebody else to take over the duties and I don't necessarily want it all to be a bro. So, so the website, we did the major update on the website, was that 4 or 5 years ago? It continues to churn on. I am still going through the tedious, painful process of collecting content for it. If you have things which you think belong on the website that you like, the customaries we were talking about in the hallway earlier, right? It took us 2 or 3 years to get the customaries on the website because nobody realized that we needed the customaries on the website. If there's content that needs to go on the website, let me or whoever takes over this role from me know so we can get it out on the website. I just don't know what else needs to be out there. A project that Brother Mark and I are endeavoring to undertake. So we had DORT, the Daily Office Revision Team, for years. Brother Mike and Mark and I are starting up the DART, the Digital Archive Research Team. So we're moving from DORT to DART, and what we want in DART is everything. If you have any old bulletins from past worship services, if you've got anything of historical value or hysterical value or whatever, let us know and we'll put it in our digital archive. So even things which wouldn't be appropriate for the website. I just want to get a place where we can collect all of these things so that they're not lost to history. And we don't have to have them filed away in the physical archive somewhere, we can have them stored digitally. If your chapter, so we've consolidated all of our digital services almost down to Google now. So if your chapter wants a email list, if you're stuck in the 80s and the 90s, and you don't want to use WhatsApp, but you still want an email list, let me know. We can get you set up with a @stluke.net email address for your chapter. Google Drive. I know we've been using Zoom for years now. Zoom costs me personally, because we've been using my personal Zoom, $18 a month. I would like to get rid of that if I can. Google Meet is free. We have Google Meet. We can have very large meetings in Google Meet, which we can't in Zoom. So I would encourage you to migrate over to the Orders Google Meet account. I can give you access to that. It costs nothing. It's great. Watto continues to go as we put more data and information into it. Watto is the single largest page views on our digital services. We hit, I put in the report 5,779 page views to Watto last month. That's low. We have several hundred unique people use Watto every day from all around the world. So we all need to be very proud of the great work that has been done pulling Watto together and getting that to be really kind of the face of our order right now. So, and if you don't use Watto, I encourage you, saint-luke.net/WADO. That is our online breviary. Yes?
For those of us who are new, can you tell us what Watto is?
Watto is the Web Amplified Daily Office. It is, imagine a 14-volume prayer book that is distinct for every day of the 3-year liturgical cycle. It's an amazing and powerful.
Every office.
Every office, every day. Yeah. So, and if you, it is not perfect, but nothing we've ever done has been. So everything is going on to perfection for the Wesleyans in the
Can
room.
you access that to the website?
It is on the website, saint-luke.net/Watto, and that's that.
Is there a way to put that into the WhatsApp?
I have never once used WhatsApp in my life. I'm gonna look to Sister Kimberly and say, hey, Sister Kimberly, can you put that in WhatsApp? I don't know.
Certainly could put the link.
Yeah.
I'll start there. And then figure out if there's any possibility to integrate it.
Yeah, and the way that Watto is built is it's designed to be able to be integrated into other things, so it's flexible. Yeah, and the main struggle I see for our digital assets, our digital presence, is stuff is just scattered everywhere and we don't know where it is. And so we can do the work of collecting what we have, getting the public-facing stuff out on the website, and then getting the stuff that doesn't need to be public into the archive. That's, I think, a big task in front of us. And then I just remembered, in the work as Chancellor General incoming and doing that, as Sister Jeanette said, I built us a new database system because Servant Keeper I thought was going to be wonderful, turns out to be terrible. So now we have a database system that's purpose designed for us and what we need, no bigger, no smaller than what we need. But as I was building it, I kept thinking, oh, this could be our online directory. This could be our online directory. And then so I turned it into an online directory. So on the website, there's a link to the member directory. I haven't told anybody about this until just now. So you can now register to get access to the online directory and adjust your settings as to what you make visible and invisible in our directory. And you can see all of your own stats as well as anyone else who's made themselves visible in the past. So it's all there. The instructions are there. I beta tested it with a couple of people, a handful of people, and there's a problem in technology that I describe as the gentleman of a certain age problem. And the gentleman of a certain age problem is the instructions are right there on the screen. Would you just please read the instructions that are right there on the screen? Gentlemen of a certain age don't do that.
Brother Scott, I still did, but I still did.
Brother Mark still had problems. We'll work on that. But so yeah, give a look to the online directory as you have a chance, and that will let you verify your data in the online database. It is exactly the same data as in the Chancellor General's database. So if anything is wrong in one place, it's wrong in all the places. So there it is. All right. Anything else? Any questions, comments, prayer requests, donations to my student loan fund? Thank you very much.
Thanks, brother.
I am a gentleman of a certain age.
I know this because I'm a woman.
I believe the Dort report is a very short report that there aren't any more reports. Brother Dwight, is there anything we can entice you to say as we close out having Dort on the agenda for this meeting?
I do want to say that in terms of its being a work in progress, just the putting in, let me back out. There are 365 days to a calendar year. But the liturgical year, by the time you deal with the extra weeks that there may be after Epiphany before Lent or less, or after, means that a liturgical resource year is, do you remember those Scott?
422.
Wow. Again?
422 potential days in a liturgical year.
422 days times 3 years. Let's not count the diurnal losses because they don't change and they're there for every day. Let's just take morning and evening times 2. I mean, it boggles the mind, especially when it comes to realizing that everything in there has to be entered somehow. We don't yet have the tool to just press the button. And we come very close to that with the scripture. We'd like to get the Luke's altar in. We are still working on various things. In other words, there are a lot of places where we still discover, you come along and you say, whoops, I think that's the same deal that we had last time. Yeah, we'll work on those. So there are a group of us that are trying to work on that. Some of us, like me, it's not something that comes natural to me, and I keep threatening to learn to do it so I can help. Elizabeth has done a lot of work on it, and Brother Scott clearly has done an immense amount of work. But be patient with us, and if you're able to help along the way, and you see something that you think should be called to our attention, call it to somebody's attention, who will call it to somebody else's attention, who is able to do something about it. And that goes a long ways around.
I will volunteer. If you're using Lotto and you see something that you think is wrong or you know is wrong, send me an email. Just tell me, go check that service, because I can make a number of changes without checking with anybody else. If you just don't like it, you can send me a message that says you don't like it, but that doesn't mean I'll change it.
Can I give your name and number to my church members?
Different problem.
Thank you, Brother Dwight. Sister Diane, you're up.
So this is the last time I have to apologize to Brother George for not getting a report in on time. And I do apologize, life comes up on you, but I am your pastoral care officer. I haven't met a lot of you. I would love to meet as many of you as I can. So please come and find me, tell me a little bit about yourself. I believe I was called to this office, not because I'm great at speaking, but because I'm much better at listening. So I'm available. I just put my information up there, and I will be a part of the WhatsApp community as well. I'm thinking of some different ideas and ways I can reach out to be available to the larger community during the year. So I'll probably be talking to some of you who have the online services, Sister Kimberly, maybe having some online office hours. But I believe that this role is really important. It was very important to me at different times in my own life. And so I would like to do this role justice, and I would mostly just like to make myself available to you if you need to or like to have a conversation. And I did, as I said, bring my healing oil with me. Happy to engage in a time of prayer with you and anointing if you desire. So thank you.
Our next report is the companion for seekers, inquirers, and discerners. Brother Jim, do you have anything to say to us?
I don't have anything to add. It just, I think it's very interesting. We continue to have people interested in the order. And we're, Brother Daniel and Sister Garvin and I have been working on trying to get the process in to help. And I think it's beginning to work quite well.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Seekers, inquirers, and discerners, are those three distinct categories?
Brother Daniel, yeah.
Yes, they are.
I've always wanted to know.
If you're interested in the order, you're a seeker. If you fill out a form that Brother Jim sends to those who are seekers and want to know more about the order, and they are requesting to become an inquirer, that's really the first stage of entering into the life of the order for discovery and learning. Discerner is after you've been through a period of inquiry with your companion, and if you're part of the cohort, sounds like I'm giving my report already. If you're a part of the inquirer period, then if you discern you want to go deeper and you're really interested in the life of the order and want to discern a vocation to our rule of life and service, Then you enter into the time of final discernment. And at that point, if your discernment is positive, that you are called, then you make profession, as some will be here at the retreat. So does that answer
Yeah, so
your
it's
question?
Cohort, and post-cohort, basically?
Yeah, okay.
Cohort 1, cohort 2, really, they're both kind of continuing.
In a way, it's sort of like what we do with baptism, but we don't do it very well with baptism. The process of Christian initiation, at least from the ancient church, as I understand it, was if you are sensing God's call to baptism, then there's a time of preparation called the catechumenate formally. And then you enter into candidacy, and then if you are prepared and ready, you are baptized. So it's a similar kind of process.
Thank you. I've always been curious and I never asked. Thank you.
Yes.
Say something about the seizure.
Oh. Yeah. You will see perhaps people who are vested here without the scapular but have the red cincture. They are those who have moved from a time of inquiry, and at the service of admission to final discernment, part of that rite is the putting on them the cincture, the red cincture, the sign of their intention to become a member of the order. And for example, Fairbairn is here as a final discerner, and so you'll see her with the red cincture. And I don't know, are there others here who are in final discernment and have the cincture?
There's Randy.
Oh, Randy.
Randy. Historian.
A few remarks here or there about my report, which is before you. I just want to say about what Brother Scott said about the acronym. I think the acronym for me is still in draft.
I'm fine with that.
But we're gonna work on formulating an acronym. I really would like to develop something of a working group. Not exactly like DART, but not exactly not like DART either, or DORT. I'm not. Anyway, people who are interested in this kind of archival work, and it is quite a lot of fun in a weird sort of way. If you sense a call to that, so I'd like to have some people that would be willing to work with me on various issues around that. Been somewhat of a lone wolf on this, but I don't want it to stay that way. So I have been working as a guest editor for Doxology, and I have my issue, which I think is going to be, I think the ordinary time issue for this year is essentially completed. I'm interested in seeing Brother Jonathan to see what happened to that. There is this thing in publishing where you finish something and then you just sort of wait and you wait and you wait and you wait some more. I'm kind of in the waiting part of that right now. But anyway, when that appears, my rather longish piece, Presidents, Abbots, and Other General Officers, it's a thrilling title, of the Order of St. Luke will appear in that ordinary time issue. That's really the first extended piece of scholarship that has come out of my efforts as a historian. One of the things you'll find in there, several people we haven't talked much about will show up in that article. Several things that aren't mentioned in the story of the Order of St. Luke, including Don Brown's presidency, which is totally skipped. In that actually shows up in my article, and then some things about Vernon Schmid in there, and some others. you'll find in that article that, about process of election, that how different it has been at times. At times we did it by mail. At times we did it electronically. At times we did it in person in general chapter, for elections. So don't ever think, one of the things you find out when you start rooting around in historical stuff is if you say something's always been done in a particular way, it's almost never true, right? That's the case, and that's really true. That's really true about us as order as well. And it's been fascinating for me. I'm eager to share that with some of you. The other longish piece that I've been working on is, if you know the story Order of St. Luke, it goes from first period to second period, and it goes to fourth period.
Yeah.
And we look for the third period, and we don't think it's there. And I cover all of that and sort of why that's the case. Brother Dwight and I have theories about that, and I've been able to check some of those archivally, and I just don't think it's there. I don't think it's the piece we're going to find someday. I don't think it happened, in terms of that. Yes.
It could be in the wall.
Yes. Yeah.
When we go to renovate, we might.
I know it might. But anyway, so somewhat playfully, but seriously, I have another piece I'm working on called "Whatever Happened to the Third Period," which also covers that part. And again, that's a fairly longish piece that I'm working on. I'd say right now it's about 70% done, which for me means that I have a draft, but I need to do a first revision and a second revision, and then it's probably going to be done at that point. That piece. That's kind of the next thing that I look forward to working on. Just one more thing. One of the things I'm learning as I head toward toward retirement, is I'm realizing that if I'm going to give unsolicited advice, I need to give that in very small doses. At this point, unsolicited. I mean, I've sort of been an advice giver professionally, for a long time as pastor and professor now. I need to sort of cut back on giving unsolicited advice, but nevertheless to give a small piece of unsolicited advice to all of you. I'm supposed to be funny, brother. And then that is, this is sort of in the spirit of what Brother Scott was saying, is that pretty much every piece is, many pieces are significant historically, and you don't necessarily think they are at the time, but they are. And I just want to say about the font. I hope we can get the font up and running again in some form. And just as an observation, historically over the past 30 years or so, when the font has gone dormant, it's because we tried to make it too complicated, right? Right, and they sort of track that, in various ways of how the font ended up getting more and more complicated, and the person who took it over thought they had to sort of meet that standard, and then it sort of went dormant, for a while. That's happened several times in a couple of different ways. So when we try to make it too complicated is when we've had problems with it. Torvald Torgerson, at various points, before font, but when we had other kinds of newsletters, at times just published a simple one-page newsletter that got sent out. And I can't tell you how important some of that is archivally and historically, even to have, those kind of pieces and then that kind of record to sort of track some of what was going on in the order at that time. So I just want to urge us to get the font up and running again, even if it's just a short one-page thing, and not to let it all be just electronic, because again, that piece, whatever form it is can be helpful to someone 30 or 40 years down the line to try to figure out what was going on. So if we try to make it too complicated, that's when it's going to go on. Simple, yes.
Sister Debbie and I have been going through the boxes that I inherited from Brother Scott Alford.
Sure.
And we may find that some of these things you're looking for, like bulletins and that kind of thing. Should we just mail them to you?
Tell you what, if you can, I just had a conversation with another person. If you can do just a little bit of inventory on it, just sort of let me know what's there first before you just send me boxes, because I'm likely to be moving again one of these times too.
I wouldn't send you the boxes. I would
Okay.
just send you
Again, just some even surface level inventory to let me know, I've got this, and this stuff in it.
Okay.
That to me would be probably as a first step on your end, if you can do it. Again, I talk to archival people, and sometimes they just get boxes and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to do that to them.
Yeah, I'll tell you something I've been doing, I talk about it here. Part of my work at Perkins has been to oversee the chapel work of Perkins. I've done that for the whole quarter century I'm there. That cat herding work has gone under several titles over that year, but I've done that work the whole time. And so now, part of what I'm doing in this last year is going through all that material, and I'm not trying to analyze it all, but I'm just trying to put it in some kind of order to archive it at Perkins. So I've got electronic files there, I've got paper files, and I'm just trying to organize them in some rudimentary way so that somebody later could use it. So if you can do some of that, if that makes sense. That would help. That's it. Yep.
You had some questions, were they questions from
Oh.
Mark, or?
I just had a question about, could you just speak briefly into the intention of font for people that might?
Oh my, yeah, and again, I will say that the order over the years, again, we've never done, we've done similar things in different ways, sometimes we've just had one letter, in the early days, Versicle worked kind of, sometimes there were some articles that were of some scholarly weight in the Versicle. There was also news in the Versicle. There were chapter reports when that started in the Versicle. We had all kinds of things there. Then eventually they'd be sort of split up into a couple different publications. Eventually we had three. Into the mid to late 80s, we had Doxology, which was the more scholarly one. We had Sacramento Life, which was not unscholarly, but was just thought to be a little bit more practical. And then we had Font, which was the newsletter.
More in-house.
Relational, keeps us in touch with one another.
But anyway, that was what it was. So Font is basically the newsletter. That's the primary purpose. But again, as you look at these things historically, there's always been some sort of permeability between the boundaries of what goes in what, in spite of ourselves. And that's just typical of organizations. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say something about the font. Because the font recently has been used as a newsletter, we have had information in there if a member was having health issues, if there were sort of semi-private kind of information that we want to know about our brothers and sisters, but we don't necessarily want broadcast to the universe. There has been a restriction that font only went to vowed members of the order. I think a question, as we try to find a new font officer, is do we keep this in-house and leave it therefore open to things that we want to know about each other, but we don't want made, sent out to everybody that's on Facebook? But that's why there has been a limitation on the distribution of font to in-house. And I think that would stay unless there's a conscious decision made that that's no longer the right thing to do with the newsletter.
And that's not really something that I'm overseeing.
No,
right.
That's when your new officers get your new font editor, that'll be an action item for them to think about.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Brother Daniel.
You got 6 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes.
I shall be brief.
We are 78 years old, as a community of religious, vowed sisters and brothers, siblings. And into what it means to be an order, probably beginning as more or less a religious society of men with clerical collars, all white, of course, and all Methodists, we have become increasingly ecumenical, diverse, and we have a sense, I think, of living into what does it mean to be an order. I have emails going back into the early 2020s, 2000s, from Sister Sarah Flynn, who, by the way, would love to be here, but at 86, travel is difficult for her. So I ask you to remember her. But I have these emails where she keeps raising the question, what about, and I don't know that she used the word, a novitiate. What about some kind of orderly process by which those who seek to become members of the order can find their way into the order with support and compassion and be accompanied in that process? That, while I was at it, pressed upon me, how can we do that? And so Carol Gathigan, who would also, I think, like to be here, and let us remember her in loss of her husband Boyd. Carol Gathigan and I began to talk about this, and in 2018, she was the companion for seekers, inquirers, and so forth. And in 2018, we began this process called, we're calling the novitiate. It's kind of shorthand. I suppose in many ways it doesn't look a thing like the novitiate for Paul of the Cross or the Benedictines. But we use that for shorthand. I simply call it to your attention. I think, in the report, I think when we were chapters and we were meeting face to face, it was very easy and natural for people who heard about the Order of St. Luke, and Brother Brent knew somebody who he thought would want to be a part of the order or might be interested. He'd invite him to a chapter meeting, and the formation began and it took place. In our digital age, where we're getting inquiries about the novitiate, many have no relationship with anybody in the order. And so we're doing this process, including the cohort meetings for 5 sessions. I'm thankful for your support and your participation in the process. Some of you sit in on the cohort meetings, even though you're not companioning someone. And I appreciate that, because part of what that does is introduce us to introduce inquirers to people in the order, and we're real people, not some kind of digital organization. The last thing I'll say is, I think commensurate with or related to the change of officers who are a generation or more younger, I would like to see, I think Brother Jim and Sister Barbara would like to see a new set of leaders for the novitiate come forth. So this is an invitation. If you would like to work on that with us, we would like to have your be in a mentoring relationship and then pass that on to a new generation. And I think what you just said, Brother Mark, about the font is appropriate to the novitiate. Maybe when it gets too complicated, it falls by the wayside, or maybe it scares people. It doesn't need to be that complicated. So I invite you, if you feel the touch of God, the touch of the Spirit, please talk to me, or Sister Barbara, or Brother Jim. We'd like to invite you to join us in this service
to those who are inquiring.
The last thing in your book of reports is the minutes from the last meeting. We have 2 minutes. We're not going to read those. If you're looking at them and you see something that looks glaringly like it needs to be fixed, please let us know.
I shared, not haired, but other than that typo.
Well, where is it? I noticed some spelling errors. I decided those could live for perpetuity.
Now, wait.
After you share
No,
the-
those who put out typos in my church get to become secretaries.
Thank you to all those who have given their reports.
We've already shared.
Thank you to all of those who have been thanked by those reports. I'm going to usurp having the blessing said down in the dining room because the food will be ready, and as you get there, you can eat. But shall we pray? Lord, we give you thanks for this day, for the members of the order, for the work of the order. We ask you to bless the food which we are about to partake. Every time we sit and eat, may we remember the meal that Christ brought to us. We give our thanks. Amen. Go eat.
Yeah, and it's basically, see, we've done.